the guy that comes in after his probation period's making the same amount of money as the guy that's been here 22 years. So, because you had that in the dispatch center. You had, at one point in time, throughout my career there, you had a dispatcher that came in, I think it was a year probation. After that year, they were making the same amount of money as our head dispatcher.
Right.
So that's why they went to the scale that you described.
Right.
So that's the goal that we would like over here. And that was the point of having this done. So we had something to build on to create that scale. Because without that scale, we have gumbo.
Right. And so when I first came in, one of the things that we talked about, in fact, I might even not have been in office yet. We had HR training with Michelle and down in your guys' office long ago. Like, in fact, it was in December. It was before I came in. And I was talking to Michelle, and I believe you were there, Laura, and saying, hey, why can't we do management of employees and performance pay and all that? And the system's not designed to let us do that. However, if you do this kind of a structure, and then someone goes to an employee and says, hey, you've been here 9 years, you could be getting a promotion within your position, but you're not gonna get it because number one, you're late 3 out of 5 days of the week. And number two, you haven't done the additional training that I asked you to do. You don't have the skill set yet to do that. So I'm gonna hold you over as normal clerk, and you have another year, if you go get the training and you remain on time to where I think you're reliable, et cetera, then you can get promoted. A year late, but that's an incentive that's out there for them, because you built the ability internally to not it's just longevity. It's like someone just shows up at the coal mine for 26 years. No one even looks at how much coal they put in the cart, you know? They just show up, and so they get the same pay as the guy who's your best performer. But rather, this gives us the ability, by structuring those jobs, that then managers can actually, and then what you get is you get the reward of an employee who's been there for 20 years, and or 12 years, whatever, they really know what's going on. You don't want to lose that employee.
Right.
They've figured out all the tricks. So those would be my comments.
And that's, Nick's totally right. That's exactly what we got in this tool, was the means of being able, again, to more proactively manage employees and motivate higher output by employees. So, yeah, thanks for illustrating that.
But yes,
So
I think we're all on the same page with that.
Yeah.
That is the future of what we're trying to accomplish here. Hopefully the near future, but that is what we're looking at.
Is anybody else on board with this idea that where you can actually go in and structure that kind of thing within your?
Oh, yeah, and we talked with Richard about it. That's why we have a
I
whole
mean, with like
classification
other
section.
department heads or,
Mhm.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and we haven't had our department head meeting on this. I mean, they've all gotten copies, but we have to adopt it first in order to use the tool. So we haven't had any kind of in-depth, a lot of department heads have come in and asked questions individually. We haven't had anything as a whole. So, yeah, there's a lot of people looking at this, trying to see how they can better motivate employees in their departments.
Well, and it does go into trying to get the best employee possible.
Mhm.
Instead of just, I'll buy my time and I get the same money as Joe Blow citizen or Joe Blow employee that works his tail off, shows up 15 minutes early, you know, does his reports on time, hers or whatever. This allows us to, with the Me Too clause, it really ties the commission's hands. And this now gives us an opportunity to effectively run this side of the house.
So before we take any more public comment, we're gonna go ahead and get to discussion. So we are at decision, adopt salary survey. I would entertain a motion to go ahead and adopt the salary survey and then take us into discussion. We have two members of the public with questions.
I would go ahead and make a motion to adopt the salary survey.
Franklin, are you gonna second?
No.
All right, I will second. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the survey salary, wage, and position classifications presented by Richard Larson and Associates. And we are at public discussion. So Billy, I think your hand was up first. Okay, Dwayne.
By accepting this, you have just opened the door for costing the county hundreds of thousands of dollars in raises that everybody went against.
Actually, it's not.
Franklin went against it, and yes, it is.
No, it doesn't.
Because it does, it lets them people build up, goes on a more wage pay. No, you're thinking the wrong way, she's thinking the wrong way. It's gonna cost the county hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there is no doubt in anybody's mind, you know it, she knows it. She just snuck it in, and she clued you into it.
Thanks, Dwayne. Any other public comment before we move on from discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
No.
All right, let the record show, and the motion carries. There you go. Franklin, did you want to sign as part of the commission team?
No.
All right. All right, so we have one more resolution. This is the resolution to adopt the Broadwater County job descriptions, whereas Broadwater County Commissioners are responsible for the supervision, motivation, and direction of approximately 60 full-time, part-time, and seasonal and temporary employees. And whereas the Commission approved Richard Larson and Associates, Inc. to perform an in-depth and unbiased analysis of Broadwater County positions, wages, and classifications on July 12, 2016. And whereas they interviewed employees to accurately reflect specific duties, and whereas they reviewed job descriptions and made applicable changes, and whereas they interviewed and updated the Commission in person, shared all job descriptions before and after department heads and employees reviewed and suggested edits, and solicited approval by the Commission, and now therefore be it resolved. The Broadwater County Board of County Commissioners adopts the October 2016 revised Broadwater County job descriptions as prepared by Richard Larson and Associates, Inc. So with that, we will close this regularly scheduled program and bring you a public hearing to adopt county job descriptions. All right, public comment on adopting county job descriptions. Dwayne, did you want to repeat your comment from earlier?
Yeah, this is going to cost the county hundreds of thousands of dollars.
All right.
I still believe it. I mean, it's common sense. If you think about it, college-educated idiots don't even understand it.
Any other public comment on this or questions? Tim?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, Tim Ravendall. I raised concern about step A adds to step B. We're now moving into a resolution that gives an official position, taking this recommendation, putting it into effect, and the next step, it does, and I think there is merit to the concern that this could backfire, as well as you have salaries and or classifications that are tied directly together that could potentially and easily cause an employee to come into this commission and say, hey, I'm being discriminated against or some other reason because I'm not making as much as what that says, or the classification has put me in. So it does open that door. Agreeing with the picture that our county attorney put forward, that makes sense, but I think it's clouded up the way it is.
Let me just bring in a little bit of information, make sure we're all in the same boat. Job descriptions are a legal requirement of public employees. For too many years, we have had several employees without job descriptions. A past commission prior to my time on the board hired some people to do job descriptions, and they just never got done. We have had department heads that have been asked, and they're just too busy, so they didn't get to them. So whereas we may be only missing, or may have been only missing 10 or 12, as a guess, we still did not have job descriptions for every employee. When we have a vacancy, we use the job description to advertise for the position. When we have somebody who has a grievance against the county or complaint of harassment, like you say, Tim, or some other complaint, what they use is their job description as their defense and as our defense. The county uses job descriptions
It is a
in
two-way
this.
street.
It's a one-way street in that job descriptions are a tool that protects employees and protects the county. The two are not adverse to each other. The two are part of the county team, all working for the good of the citizens. So with a job description, when you have a need to motivate an employee or discipline an employee who's showing up late to work every day, that is what is needed and used, is the job description as a tool. It is a legal requirement, and we are finally to a point of having accurate, defensible job descriptions for our employees. That's all we're doing here. It has nothing to do with salaries. There's no cost as far as that goes. So I just want to make sure we're all in the same boat while we're challenging having job descriptions for Broadwater County. Any other public comment? Billy?
All the employees are happy with their job description, how it went. Yeah.
All employees had a chance to meet with Dick. All employees shared with Dick what their responsibilities were, what their essential functions were. Each one had a chance and a responsibility to edit, to add information, to subtract information. And any questions we had, like with the paralegal job description, we went to our HR consultant, Michelle Quiggery, and she weighed in and we followed her advice on that. So any questions we had, we went up the chain to the expert that we have on the subject.
Every employee had the opportunity, was asked it for their opinion on these. So all we're doing here is every job in the world has a job description. So all we're asking for, all we're doing is applying those job descriptions. I mean, it's dumbfounding to me how offensive people get that all we're doing is giving direction to our employees. It's just dumbfounding to me.
Well, I asked the question because it's hard for you guys to go look and see what
Right.
everybody's doing and stuff, and just,
No, that's why
I have no discrepancy in the job description.
every job that I've ever had a job description, and they told me what I had to do in that job. That's what this is.
Any other public comment or questions? Dwayne?
Does this mean that they can get longevity?
No.
This is just a
No.
It's
job.
opening the door.
No, it's not. This is, you are hired to do custodian work for the Broward County. This is what you have to do for that custodian job. That's all this
But
is.
then after 2 years, do I start getting a raise because I'm better off? I did more.
No, this is just the job description.
That's what you're
That's it.
asking for.
No, it's not. It is given direction to employees of what they have to do. Read a job description.
Yeah,
No,
what
read
they
it.
have to do. But then, now they can go to this school or that school, learn how to run a vacuum, you get a raise. Learn how to run.
That's not in a job description. That is not in a job description.
That's what.
You're not
well,
educated
it's
in
gonna
this.
be, that's what you're asking.
No, it's not. Read a job description.
No, read what you're trying to tell us.
Okay, all right, I think that this public hearing is going to end now, and we're gonna go back to the regular Broadwater County Commissioners' General Meeting. And we're at decision, adopt county job descriptions. To get to any further discussion, we are going to have a motion to approve and a second. And I would entertain that.
I'll make a motion for the job descriptions.
Franklin, are you going to second the motion? No, all right, I will. I second the motion. It has been moved and seconded to adopt the resolution accepting the job descriptions as presented and researched by Dick Larson and Associates, Inc. So any further discussion? Corey?
Question. In the second half of this, the classification, and it would be the third or fourth page from the back, database, and it gives all these categories. There's 10 categories. So as I understand it, you assess the job, you add up those numbers, and then that results in the number range classification that goes with that unit. Is that right? So, victim witness advocate is at 45. I just did the assessment and I got 58. So I'm wondering where that number came
As far as, this is, now we're off topic again, because we're just on job descriptions and just
Well, that's
talking,
what this is,
that, no, it isn't. So, what we're doing today, Corey, is just adopting these tools to use, that's it. We have several employees who have questions that will be coming to see us. We'll be talking to, different employees about a variety of different things. And that will be on the agenda as an agenda item and for public discussion. But what we're doing right now is not getting into the nitty-gritty of just your staff or anybody else's staff. We need to adopt the tools, and then we can go ahead and do that through the agenda process. So what I would suggest at this point is we just address any specifics you have with the county not adopting job descriptions or supporting or having job descriptions. And then if you want to get into the details of your staff alone, what I would suggest and request are two things. One is please review the entire document and understand what we did with Dick Larson. You were gone while he was here for that month. And then come back to us with what if you want to mark your adjustment for your staff, if you want a change in classification, if you want whatever. Make an appointment on the agenda and come back to us with that. But that is actually off the agenda at this point. What we're doing right now is just voting to adopt job descriptions.
Yep, so
in. How is that off the
classifications,
agenda? That's this.
classification is different than job description.
We just adopted this, now we're on to job descriptions. So,
I just
again,
asked, I tried to ask about this a minute ago, and you told me, no, it's the next one.
you had mentioned
You just moved me to this
paralegal
agenda item to ask this
job
question.
description. Let's go ahead and take care of the business on the agenda first. We have a meeting with you at 1:30, but if you want to get into advocating for your staff, I would ask that you follow the process, and the process we've asked every other elected official and department head to follow.
Okay, I
But
just want to know that what happened
interrupting-
is I tried to ask this question twice. On the last agenda item, you told me, no, it's the next one, and now on this one.
We
you told
haven't
me, no, it was the last one.
adopted, the classification is not even on the agenda.
But you're
Yeah.
doing job descriptions based off.
Corey,
This goes hand in hand with classification, does it not?
no.
No.
And salary.
Corey,
How can- they're the
before-
three legs of a stool.
Before, when we were on the subject of the salary survey, you asked about your paralegal's job description.
Yeah.
That was not the agenda because that is now the agenda. Now that we're on the job descriptions, the county job descriptions, not individual job descriptions, you're on the classifications and on the victim witness. So
Okay, where's
it's
the-
two different
where's-
things.
Where's
So-
the report for the job descriptions?
There isn't a report on the job
They're
descriptions.
actual
We
job
have the-
descriptions.
Right.
Yeah.
And we need to adopt those so we can get them to our employees and put them in their personnel files so they
The
know what
finals-
their jobs
The
are.
finals were all signed off and in Michelle's office and emailed to the department heads. That was all done. And we signed off on the final ones. Well, 2 commissioners signed off on the final ones.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
And if this is getting into individual employees, I'm gonna ask you to follow the process and let us go ahead and take care of our resolution on the county's job descriptions. So, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, let's start back with, so which one are we on, job descriptions or classifications, right?
Job descriptions.
Job
That's right,
descriptions.
we just need to pass.
Every employee did have a job description prior to this study, I agree?
No,
No,
no, they did not, but
okay, how many did,
I don't know off the top of my head. I gave a guesstimate. I don't know how
what's,
close it
what's
is.
the guesstimate?
10 or 12 didn't.
So what percentage would that be of county employees?
We have
I don't know.
60-something employees. so-
15% roughly.
How many job descriptions changed as a result of this?
All of them.
All of them,
The
right?
jobs didn't, but the job description did. Language, structure, that kind of thing. It's much more clear now than it was, and it's much more accurate for especially the ADA than it was.
A lot of the old job descriptions were individualized. Like, for example, I was tasked to write my job description as a sergeant for the sheriff's office. My job description was to write grants, to manage grants, to be a DARE officer. It was specifically to me. Now, another sergeant coming in was not gonna write grants, was not gonna be a DARE officer, was not gonna do that. So that was the problem that we're running into, was tasks that were given to employees were part of the job description. That's not the case. This is just a job description for people of a position. This is what you're required to do as a clerk and recorder. This is what any clerk and recorder, not a senior clerk and recorder, not a deputy clerk and recorder, just in general. So it took away the personalization of what the individual's responsible for to a not classification, but the job description of what they need to be doing.
Okay, so can you clarify what is your agenda item on the table right now? What are you intending to do?
I just read it.
I'm
Right
just
now, we're
asking
at
you to
decision, adopt county job descriptions.
Okay, the job descriptions that you already previously went through with Michelle and have already adopted them.
No,
That's what we're doing right now.
Do you have a pile of them on the table we can look at?
No,
Why?
no. Anybody can look at a job description for any position. We have already gone through, we've already initialed them, they've already been available for the public.
How does the public get, let's say that there's 60-some employees, how does the public get 60 job
They
descriptions
can-
to read? I'm just asking. How-
Nobody has asked, but they can go. It was advertised that those are available, they can go look at those. But no, we didn't bring them onto
Right,
this
where did
meeting.
they go to look at them?
HR,
Yeah,
Michelle.
Who was in Missoula and operates from a car?
No,
Michelle Beebe,
No.
she's an
Michelle
employee of
Beebe.
Broadwater County and has an office
Okay.
just down the stairs.
Okay.
Corey,
Here's-
I
here's-
understand
here's-
that you were
no,
gone for a month
That's
to
not,
Romania,
that's not
and
my
that's
point.
fine. That's when this was done. We hired Dick about 2
Yeah.
weeks before you left. He came here and he spent 3 days in Broadwater County doing this work. Then we commissioners met with him 4 times. We had the job descriptions, we discussed them in public session. It was totally open to the public. And now all we're trying to do is manage the employees of the county by adopting job descriptions.
That's fine.
This is
Here's my
simple
comment.
stuff, it's
Here's-
simple
No,
management stuff.
okay, well then here's a simple thing that I recommend you do. Whatever, whenever, now till the end of Western civilization, if you're going to adopt something, and you're going to make a decision that involves a piece of paper, you need that piece of paper sitting there on the table or copies, so that anyone who walks in, who just got back from Bermuda, can read it. I think that's a basic constitutional requirement. We haven't done it, I brought it up several times.
We have done it, we have had all the
Well,
information
didn't
with
do it
us
today.
today. Yes,
Didn't
we
do it.
did, just this
Where-
one item.
The
I'll
pile
go
is
get them
not-
right now.
My recommendation is,
I'm going to recess for 5 minutes and we'll come back with the documents and follow through on our.
what I'm suggesting, Commissioner, what I'm
This is
suggesting.
ridiculous,
No,
Corey.
it's not, no, it's not. What I'm suggesting, this is a basic hallmark of the
Thank
public
you.
decision-making process. And I'm recommending that you do that, and that you adhere religiously to it. That's my suggestion. Because
Thank you.
me, yeah, I'm playing catch-up, I'm spending most of my life in criminal law. I come in, it wasn't clear to me that we had 3 different decisions here, and that one of them involved documents that were not in the room. If it's not clear to me, it's not going to be clear to the public. So I'm recommending that you do that for all decisions, for all time.
so I agree, but it is very clear on here that we're gonna adopt the salary survey, and it's very clear on here that we're gonna adopt the county job descriptions.
Yes.
The only thing not on here is the, classification.
Yep.
So,
Okay, so I walked over to Ann, I said,
Which
hey,
we
where's
did
the job
adopt in this.
description? I said to Ann, where's the job description report? This is what she handed me.
because it's not a report, the job descriptions are emailed to all the department heads.
Hence my point,
No,
The public-
I understand
the
that.
public has a constitutional right to
You're right.
observe government and to examine documents.
You're right.
That's my recommendation.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
Thank you. We
Yeah.
have
And if
had
that's
those
upsetting to
in
you,
public meetings.
That's too bad.
They have
We've
been
talked about
available
this
to the
before.
public. So
Okay.
we will have those in hard copy. And anybody who wants to make copies, you can do that in the clerk recorder's office. And you can study any job description and you can apply for any jobs that we advertise that will use those job descriptions in the advertisement.
And I would suggest if that means you need to triple your printing budget for the year, then you should do it.
I agree, and this is the thing, is this is not sneaky, this is, so if it's an oversight that we need to have those documents here, then, okay, then we'll be sure to make sure that all these documents are sitting on this table. Last Monday, all those documents were sitting on this table when he presented them to us. And during our meeting, and he actually offered it to the public that were here to look over these.
And members of the public who are here today to observe the decision
Yep.
should have
The
access to
same
those
opportunities,
documents.
yep,
Yes.
I agree.
Well, there wasn't
So-
enough copies to go around, so we didn't get to look at nothing.
Well,
But you could have, because he did offer them.
There
So
wasn't enough
nobody's-
copies. He
nobody
gave it-
said, "Yes,
he
I'd
gave
like
the
to
last
see
copy
that."
to the end, so I didn't feel I had a right to even look. I wanted to know
But
what was
you
going
didn't.
on. I
And
went
he
and looked,
offered
I
them.
went down and looked in Michelle Beebe's office myself.
Thank you, Billy. You
So-
illustrate,
But I
Public
wanted it,
responsibility
at the
very
time
well.
of the meeting, would have been nice to know
I
what
don't
was going on.
deny. I'm not saying it's.
right, and
I'm not
I'm
saying
glad
this
that
is
he
intentional.
offered those to you guys.
And I'm not saying this is
So-
intentional, and I'm not saying this is sneaky, I'm not saying it's denying anyone their right, but I'm saying if someone wants to look at that document and provide an informed comment, they need to go through it.
All right, there's 3 stacks there. Those do need to come back to us. They are original county product. Anybody is more than happy or welcome to look at those. Tim?
One final comment, Madam Chair, Tim Ravendahl. And again, I'm not saying that there's something illegal or nefarious going on here, but I have followed our local government for a long time, a lot longer than a lot of the other public. And it's been a historic problem of coming to a hearing and understanding what the figures are. A lot of times, the figures that are being offered to adopt in a budget matter aren't even summarized. So, under Article 2, Section 9, the right to know is just like I said, you know, it's a constitutional right for us to participate and know what's going on. And so, in all fairness and all transparency matters, it's a good idea, it's good best management practices.
Tim? Corey? Thank you very much for your comments on this. We agree, and we'll continue to add everything we can publicly. So with that, we have a motion on the floor and a second. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the county job descriptions. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
All right. Motion carries. Please let the minutes reflect the vote. There's the resolution. Franklin, are you going to sign the resolution as part of the county team?
No.
No. All right. Okay, last thing on the agenda, approve the county organizational chart. This is just another piece of management that we do so that it is clear to our employees who they report to. Again, something we do every year. And all that has is at the top, the elected officials, department heads, and employees.
I'll make a motion to approve the Broward County organizational chart.
Do we have a second? It's been moved and seconded to adopt the Broward County organizational chart. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye, motion carries.
For those of you who are wondering, just a list. Maintenance is Myers, and then they have the 2 working Bowling, and the sheriff, it has a sheriff, under sheriff, and then lists all the deputies. So that's all that is, it's just a kind of a formality. It don't mean anything really, just who's working for the county, basically.
Anyone else who wants to look at these, you are more than welcome to. As they have been in public meetings many times before, they are available to the public. You are welcome to them. They are an exciting read. If you want to make copies and take them home, if you have insomnia, they are guaranteed to put you to sleep. But they're a necessary tool for us to have and to understand. I'm going to recess
Quick
this
question, Madam
meeting.
Chair.
Yes, Tim?
Are any of those documents available online for the public?
Not at this time, no.
Thank you.
All right, we are in recess at 12:05 until 1:30. We have a lot to cover this afternoon. If we don't get to it, maybe we can do that on the 19th. And,
Tell me they ain't gonna be able to go for
all right, then we will postpone. I'll call Val. and post it on that meeting, because I think you should be here for that presentation.
Huh?
It's not voted.
That
They
was,
just voted it.
what meeting, what?
They just voted it.
That's the one with Al Urban for the silos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Al Christopherson from last Monday.
Katie did it.
It's proposed.
Yep. 'Cause I had a meeting at home.